Welcome back to Orange Hat, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful night, day, wherever you are. Um, so yeah, we have a lot of Alec Baldwin stuff to go over, and it's because the Helena Gutierrez Reed trial is going on, and a lot of this stuff could be used even for Alec Baldwin's trial. So tonight is solely dedicated um to this trial, and I got four articles up here that we're going to go over. And so yeah, but before I do, um we are in March, so March is going to be doing ones and twos Leprechauns on Mars channel on Wednesdays in the middle of the month. Um we are also going to be doing singles, which are 13th Warrior and 47 Ronin. Tuesday nights are going to be, or my Tuesdays are going to be ones versus twos, and or I'll show you which ones we're starting with at the end of the stream. And Tuesday nights is the Barroom Podcast with Society Reviews and the crew. Friday night is Orange Hat Uncensored, and Sundays are the weekly recap. So if you want to support this channel, please help support this channel by getting me to 4,000 hours. I am currently at 3,900 hours. I need the last 100 push. If you all could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm also trying to get to 2,000 subs before the end of the year. So if that can help, or if you guys can help with that by sharing out my channel, sharing out my streams and whatnot, it will help. I do my best to raise awareness of the evils going on in Hollywood and whatnot. So with that out of the way, let's say hello to the chat. We got Vanya going on. How you doing? And we got Neozoic. Howdy Orange. And the good folks in the chat. Fun question. Who would win in a fight? Task Force X, Suicide Squad, or the Thunderbolts, which is basically Marvel's Suicide Squad? Well, considering both are extremely varied in their different talents and whatnot. And considering most of Task Force X is metahumans, sometimes and sometimes not, I'd say Suicide Squad, because they have metahumans that can actually take a lot of what the Thunderbolts could dish out. So, I mean, yes, you got some enhanced ones on, but then again, you also have the Punisher and the original Thunderbolts, as well as Red Hulk. So, shit, that would be a good fight. I'd like to see who would actually win. Depends on who the players are in each team. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into this. But before we do, I need to finish setting up one last thing. So, because it's for the end of the stream, and I didn't quite get it, or I just thought about doing it before. Alrighty. So the first order of business, Alec Baldwin is basically getting a lot of stuff coming out against him. And Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who was the armor on Rust, for those of you who don't know, or who've been living under a rock for the past few years, Alec Baldwin killed a woman. He shot a cinematographer. Her name was Helena Hutchins. She was a mother, a husband, or a wife rather. And her husband, who was trash, put a price on his wife's life. Yeah. His husband sued and got a settlement, as well as a spot in the movie's crew to ensure that the movie was done safely and whatnot. What this man could possibly contribute to this movie, I do not know. However, also Joel Souza, the director, was injured. And the armor is also facing charges. Her name is Hannah Gutierrez Reed. She is the daughter of a prop master, Thal Reed, or stepdaughter. And this girl is charged with roughly the same charges as Alec Baldwin, with a few different ones as well: drug possession and tampering with evidence. So we are going to go over some of this stuff. So the first one, let's pull up the thingy here. Rust shooting trial. Assistant director says armorer handed gun to Alec Baldwin before the fatal shot. Weapons supervisor Hannah Gutierrez Reed is on trial for charges of manslaughter and evidence tampering. So testimony in the fatal... Oh, really, you guys? The Irish Independent decided to pull a piece of shit move and decided to block the story unless you register. So unfortunately, that one can't go on. But yeah, he's claiming, or they're claiming that he or she had the gun instead of the assistant director handing the gun to Alec Baldwin, which was or has been reported on for the last almost 3 years. So let's go to the second one. I do apologize. I didn't know that the Irish Independent would be so exclusive, shall we say. So instead, Alec Baldwin waved gun around on Rust film set before the fatal shooting, court hears. So we'll get into this. And actor Alec Baldwin waved a gun around on film set where a cinematographer was fatally set, a court has heard. In footage shown at the trial of the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, Mr. Baldwin is also seen telling her to reload the gun more quickly. She denies involuntary manslaughter and evidence or tampering with evidence. Mr. Baldwin was holding the gun when it went off, but he said he didn't pull the trigger. He has pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter. The actor, who was also a producer on the film Rust, is expected to face a separate trial in July. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins died in the incident on the set near Santa Fe in New Mexico, October 2021. The footage played on Thursday showed Mr. Baldwin gesticulating with his pistol loaded with blanks and firing the gun within close proximity to camera operators, the AFP news agency reported. He was also asking Miss Gutierrez Reed why she didn't have more weapons ready. After the director called cut, one more, right away, let's reload. He was also heard saying we should have two guns and we're reloading. Prosecutors have alleged that Mr. Baldwin endangered safety by rushing production. So yeah, that could be used as pretty damning evidence against Alec Baldwin, folks. It's currently being used in the production or as evidence to help Helena Hutchins, apparently. Firearms expert Brian Carpenter, a prosecution witness, said Miss Gutierrez Reed should not have allowed herself to be hurried. That is true. She shouldn't have. She should have said, "We are trying to be safe here, Alex, so please back off." Rushing with firearms and telling someone to rush with firearms is not normal nor accepted, he told the court. It's a situation like that, when you're getting rushed to that extent, that's when safety starts to fall by the wayside. Very true. And Rust's first assistant director, David Halls, who also gave evidence on Thursday, defended the actor. There was never any Mr. Baldwin rushing anybody. We will watch the video and you can decide for yourself, folks. According to Reuters, in emotional testimony, Mr. Halls told the court that he was ultimately to blame himself because he did not do a final check on the gun. Last year, Mr. Halls pleaded no contest to negligent use of a deadly weapon and received a suspended 6-month sentence. As the armorer, Ms. Gutierrez-Reed, was in charge of firearms on the film set, she faces up to 3 years in prison if convicted. Involuntary manslaughter against Mr. Baldwin charges were dropped last April, just 2 weeks before he was due to go to trial, but were reinstated in January after New Mexico prosecutors said there was new forensic evidence. So, yeah, let's see here. There is more to the story here, folks, and this is right here. We have the video of the stuff. This falls under fair use as I am providing information and commentary on this court case and this court proceeding. So let's go or get into this here, shall we? Let's turn up the audio to make sure that you all can hear.
Please move. No, just.
Yeah.
Just,
when you drop your arm, that means he's 10 feet away. I can't see how close he is, but I want to be almost up by the time he gets in.
No, I'm going to go into this.
Yeah.
Well, let me show you something. Hold on. Step back to your original mark. So 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, I'm getting up.
Right.
Then when he drops his arm, Helena, get out. He drops his arm. That means Brady's close. I'm going to.
Okay. Very big problems right there. Alec Baldwin is literally using his gun, which is loaded with blanks, to point at people and to point around people. That alone is dangerous. Let's continue.
I'm going to start to really get up.
Okay.
Do you see anything concerning here?
He's doing what we saw previously in one of the other videos with the stunt performer. He's using the weapon as a pointing stick. It's his finger.
Here we go.
Now, yes, he does have a relaxed finger off the trigger, but still very dangerous. You don't do it because that gun, yes, it does have to have the hammer pulled back and the trigger pulled in order to fire it, but it's still gun safety 101. You don't fucking point it at people.
Go.
Set. Here we go.
Ready. And action. Go.
Oh, God. Okay, so he fired that after they called cut. What was he thinking? You also heard somebody behind the camera say "motherfuck." So let's see what else is going on here.
Here we go. Come on.
Well, I had to go closer to Danny did, so. You want
We should have 2 guns and both were reloading.
Yeah, that is right there. We should have 2 guns. We're both reloading. Yeah, that's rushing. You don't rush people like this, and especially when it comes to firearms, folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more. I forgot the recoil stuff. No, right away. Let's reload. Here we go.
So, Helena. Hi.
So yeah,
Set, ready, and action.
So yeah, folks, it seems that Alec Baldwin is rushing the production. Never a good thing, especially when you're dealing with firearms. You see, it's because this sort of stuff can be extremely dangerous. What if she had a mix of different rounds in that pocket of hers? A lot of big problems could have gone off there. What if she had to have multiple different rounds to put in? Yeah, very dangerous stuff there too. You never rush a production. This is actual proof in which he has cut safety corners. How you doing, Darth Zathra? Good to see you. Question: do you think Alan Baldwin's career is over and make blacklist after the trial? This isn't his trial, so this is only Hannah Gutierrez Reed's trial. But after his trial, depending on whether or not he is found guilty, we all know of many actors and actresses who have recovered from certain things. Michael Massey, who unfortunately was responsible for not responsible, but had the gun in hand that fired the capping into Brendan Lee's chest. He never got over it. He never got over it in the 23 years that he lived after that incident, or 24 years he lived after that incident, because he always blamed himself until he died, or all the way up to the time he died in 2016, I do believe, even though he was very much forgiven by Eliza and the Lee family, and everybody understood it wasn't his fault, and yet he still felt that it was kind of his fault because he had the gun in hand for the shot. And so when it comes to Alec Baldwin here, this is a case in which Alec Baldwin was indeed rushing production. They're going to definitely, folks, they're going to definitely push this, you know? Let's see here. But I also have other things here. So when it comes to Alec Baldwin, rushing production, saying, come on. We need two guns, and we're reloading. Come on. We need to get this done. You don't do that. Not when it comes to using a real weapon with rounds that are fake or not. You don't do it. So let's see here. The main thing that a lot of people are reporting on right now is the Baldwin waving the gun around, but there are a couple other things. Or a new one. Let's see here. So let's go to this next one, which is essentially one of the same things. This is a prime example of why safety should always come first. Exactly, Darth Sathra. Exactly. So, as a this is another report. Trial over death of Russ cinematographer Hannah Hutchins continued overnight as armor Hannah Gutierrez Reed continues to give evidence in Santa Fe courtroom as she details what happened during the fatal shooting incident with Alec Baldwin actions shortly before Hutchins' death. According to Gutierrez Reed, the 24-year-old was rushed to reload the gun after a scene was filmed that Baldwin wanted to try again during the production Video footage also provided the first time the public had seen such footage, showing Baldwin asking for one more right away. Let's reload. Here we go. Come on. We should always have 2 guns and we're reloading. Baldwin not only is the lead actor in the production, but also one of the executive producers on the film, The Western. The videos were played as part of the questioning directed to Brian Carpenter, a veteran armorer who was serving as the state's expert witness, who testified that the series of behind-the-scenes videos showed numerous lapses in gun safety. Rushing with firearms and telling somebody to rush with firearms is not normal nor accepted. It's a situation like that when you are getting rushed to that extent, that's when safety starts to fall by the wayside. So, yeah. I mean, we also have other shooting news, like what the director describes. So, let's see here. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I don't want to be playing audio right now. Hold on. Oh, okay. Fox is gonna pull that crap. Ugh. Well, here's a one that might be interesting. I mean, if you look up this stuff right now, folks, under Alec Baldwin shooting news, you will get some pretty harsh things here. So hold on one moment. Okay, so we got another one here from Deadline. Make sure that you also smash the like button, folks. It helps get the channel noticed. Rust director Joel Souza says he didn't know who handed the gun to Alec Baldwin before the fatal shooting, recalls being wounded and thinking nothing made sense. So, yeah. Rust director Joel Souza, get rid of these, took the stand today in the trial of armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, telling the court that he did not see who gave Alec Baldwin the firearm in the fatal on-set shooting. I did not see anybody give it to him, Souza said, emphasizing there was an enormous amount going on in the New Mexico church set at the time. On Thursday, the movie's first assistant director, David Halls, testifies that it was Gutierrez-Reed who gave Baldwin the gun, contradicting various other witnesses, including Alec Baldwin's initial statement to police. So, yeah, David Halls is now trying to save his own ass by saying, well, it was actually Hannah who handed him the gun. Yeah, it wasn't me. All of the previous testimonies, all of the witness statements, all said David Halls handed Alec Baldwin the gun. Kind of weird, folks, wouldn't you think? Gutierrez-Reed is on trial on charges of manslaughter and evidence tampering. October 2021. Baldwin was pointing the gun at cinematographer Helena Hutchins. When it went off, the bullet struck and killed her and wounded Joel Souza. Baldwin was indicted on involuntary manslaughter charge and is scheduled to go to trial in July. I will be covering that, folks. His testimony Sousa recalled at the moment, or recalled the moments of disbelief about what had happened. Sousa said that in the time just before the shooting, he went inside the church to try to see what the angle was. There were a lot of voices. I heard Alec's voice. I heard Helena's voice. Everyone is sort of talking at once. The bullet struck Helena and then Sousa. I don't have a clear memory of how long I was standing behind her. I know I got behind her to try to see the monitor, and there was an incredibly loud bang that was not like the half and quarter loads you hear on a set. Those are they're loud poofs and pops. This was deafening, and it felt like somebody had taken a baseball bat to my shoulder. I remember that distinctly and sort of stumbling back and shouting. I don't remember exactly what I said, or shouting. I don't remember exactly what I said. Sousa said that, he saw Hutchins, who was being lowered to the ground. People had her sort of by their side, and I still didn't quite know what had happened. Nothing made sense. I remember initially thinking that she'd been startled by it, and they were sitting her down as a result, and then I saw the blood on her back. He said that the scene then was very chaotic. I remember them laying me down and remember them laying her down next to me. A lot of panic. I still just couldn't figure out what had happened. I thought, was there something stuck in the barrel that came out? But just nothing made sense. He said that he recalled looking up and spotting Gutierrez Reed, who was standing with a few other people. She looked distraught, and I remember her saying, I'm sorry, Joel. And I remember somebody just screaming at her, and they just ushered her out. Why the hell is she, she is the armorer, so. He said that he remembered looking over at Hutchins and her looking back at me, and she had the biggest brown eyes I had ever seen. He said that he was put on some kind of stretcher and told that he would be taken to the hospital. I kept begging them to take me where she was, but they said they couldn't and that they would later. He was taken to the hospital in Santa Fe. He said that it took a while for him to grasp that he had been shot by a bullet. It just could not compute for me. I just kept saying, you don't understand. No. This is a movie set. That's not possible. It's just not possible. There's a live round. Well, considering that people were union crew members were complaining, folks, that there was plinking, which is shooting cans and other soft targets on the set. And people complained and walked off the set because they were sick and tired of being put into unsafe situations during filming. Yeah, I think that there was live rounds on the set and people weren't paying attention. They eventually grew tired of me protesting about it, and they showed me the x-ray of my back, and there was a very large bullet. Sousa said he did not know if Gutierrez Reed was in the church at the time the gun went off, but that he would expect that she would be there. The armorer would be where the gun is. So, yeah. That's something that should have been, or she should have been present there. Why wasn't she, folks? If she wasn't in that set or on that set, why the hell wasn't she on that set? It does beg the question. Hannah Gutierrez Reed should have made sure and checked the weapon before Alec Baldwin had gotten it. Apparently she didn't. Apparently a live round was put in that weapon. And apparently she didn't have the know-how or experience to check that weapon. And Alec Baldwin didn't have the know-how or experience to check that weapon. And a person died. Her name was Helena Hutchins. So we have another right here article from the Independent. Let's see if they allow the full story. Okay, I can watch the full story or read the full story for you all. Let's see here. We have other stuff, or I'm looking for other things as well, folks. There are other reports. I mean, this is all coming out in the last week, in the last few days. So let's see if this one will work. This one. Sorry for the small delay, folks. I am actually trying to find a proper. Yeah. Of course, that one's. Let's see here. So, what are people's thoughts in the chat right now? Let me know your thoughts in the chat currently, folks, and I will. I'm trying to find a. Okay, so here's another one. Now, share this tab instead. Alrighty, so at the stage, here's the one. All right, this is one that's not censored due to you gotta register. From the Associated Press, Assistant Director says armorer handed gun to Alec Baldwin before fatal shooting of cinematographer. So, courtroom testimony in the fatal shooting of cinematographer by Alec Baldwin provided new details Thursday that conflict with other earlier accounts about a final safety check on a revolver and exactly who handed it to the actor during rehearsal of the Western movie Rust. Assistant Director David Halls, the safety coordinator on set, told jurors that weapons supervisor Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who is on trial on charges of manslaughter and evidence tampering, twice handed the revolver to Baldwin. It was first emptied of bullets, Halls testified, and then loaded again with several dummy rounds and a live round. Baldwin was pointing the weapon at Hutchins when it went off, and the movie set ranch, or when it went off. I love how they word that. When it went off. It's when he pulled the trigger, or the hammer back and the trigger pulled. He pulled the trigger. It has been concluded by FBI and other forensic analysts and tests that weapon could not have fired unless the hammer was pulled back and the trigger pulled by Alec Baldwin. Killing Helena Hutchins and wounding director Joel Souza. Baldwin said the lead actor and co-producer on Rust was separately indicted by a grand jury last month. The trial is scheduled for July. I did not see Ms. Gutierrez-Reed take the gun from Mr. Baldwin. Questioning by prosecution, but he or she appeared back on my left-hand side, and she said she had put dummy rounds into the revolver. The testimony of Halls, who pleaded no contest last year in negligent use of a firearm and completed 6 months unsupervised parole, may weigh significantly as prosecutors reconstruct the chain of events and custody of ammunition that led to the shooting. He described a rudimentary safety check in which Gutierrez-Reed opened the latch on the revolver and could see 3 or 4 dummy rounds inside that he recognized. She should take a few steps to Mr. Baldwin and gave Baldwin the gun. She took a few steps to Mr. Baldwin and gave Baldwin the gun. Gutierrez-Reed hasn't testified, but told investigators in the aftermath of the shooting that she left the loaded gun in the hands of Halls and walked out to the makeshift church on the set beforehand. She has pleaded not guilty. Baldwin, who has pleaded not guilty to a charge of involuntary manslaughter in this case, initially told investigators Gutierrez Reed handed him the gun, but later said it was Halls. The actor has said he pulled back the hammer, but not the trigger. And yet, all the evidence tests on that gun show that the only way the gun could have went off was if the trigger was pulled. Again, folks, I'm going to keep reminding you of that. His testimony included visceral account of standing just 3 feet away from Hutchins when the single gunshot rang out. As Hutchins was on the ground, he asked if she was all right. She said, "I can't feel my legs." Halls said he left the church to ensure someone called 911. He added that he struggled to understand how a live round could have been fired. Returning to the church to retrieve the gun from a pew before taking it outside to have it unloaded by a crew member and inspect the ammunition. The idea that it was a live round of ammunition that went off, it wasn't computing, he said. Defense attorneys say problems on the set were beyond Gutierrez Reed's control and have pointed to shortcomings in the collection of evidence and interviews. They also say the ammunition supplier wasn't properly investigated. Prosecutors say Gutierrez Reed is to blame for bringing live ammunition on set, and she treated basic safety protocols for weapons as optional. They say 6 live rounds bear identical characteristics and don't match ones seized from the movie's supplier in Albuquerque. In other court testimony Thursday, a movie's prop supervisor who helped manage weapons on set said she threw away dummy ammunition rounds from 2 guns in the immediate aftermath of the shooting while in a state of shock and panic. Sarah Zachary said she emptied the ammunition into the garbage container from guns that were used by actors actors other than Baldwin. She called it a reactive decision, and she eventually told law enforcement. So, yeah. This is some hard shit, folks. Some very hard shit. Because now they're trying to create there's reasonable doubt against Alec Baldwin, saying that, well, Hannah handed me the weapon, but no, wait, Halls handed me the weapon. Who did it? I mean, Halls already pleaded no contest for doing it. Improper use of a firearm. So, yeah, I do believe it may be already on record that he handled the firearm. However, I am not a legal expert in this situation, so I really can't say on or with any certainty on the matter. But getting into this final article, Rush Production wants to fire difficult to work with armorer before Alec Baldwin shooting. Yikes, folks. Rust first assistant director David Halls testified on Thursday that as he choked up, recalling the Rust shooting involving Alec Baldwin. Rust prop master Sarah Zachary testified on Friday and admitted to a defense attorney that she had previously voiced a desire to both fire Hannah Gutierrez Reed and, after the shooting of Helena Hutchins, see her sent to prison. After the cross-examination, Miss Zachary told the prosecution that the armorer was not easy to work with and confirmed that Gutierrez Reed had called her a see you next Tuesday, which the prosecution argued is likely why Miss Zachary wanted to fire her. Gutierrez Reed is facing involuntary manslaughter charges in a fatal shooting of Miss Hutchins. Actor and producer Alec Baldwin. Hold on. What the heck just happened here? There we go. Is also facing involuntary manslaughter charges related to the shooting. His trial begins on 9 July. The prosecution seeks to prove that Gutierrez-Reed was negligent in her duties on set and the proper protocol was in place during. Gosh, dang it. This will not let me get rid of this. Or will it? No, it won't. Crap. Ah, there it is. But anyway, was negligent in her duties and was in place during, or proper protocol was in place, or on set, and that proper protocol was in place during the investigation of the shooting. The state claims the armorer was sloppy and had left guns unattended on the set. Gutierrez-Reed is also facing an evidence tampering charge for allegedly asking a friend to hide cocaine for her while police were investigating the shooting. Gutierrez-Reed faces up to 3 years if she is convicted. Oof. So, Rust script supervisor says, accidental discharge on set almost blew my ears out. Mamie Mitchell, the script supervisor on Rust, is now cross-examined. The defense for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed asked Miss Mitchell if she was present for 2 misfires that occurred on set, which she described earlier in the proceeding. Miss Mitchell seemed annoyed by the question. I was there. It almost blew my ears out. The defense then asked if the scene during which Helena Hutchins was shot required Alec Baldwin to pull his weapon and point it towards the camera. Miss Mitchell said that was not what had been discussed prior to rehearsing the scene. Ouch. Script supervisor recalls the moment Helena Hutchins was shot. Mamie Mitchell, the script supervisor on Rust set, described the moment Helena was shot. She said there was an explosion and a shock in the church. And then she saw the aftermath of the gunshot. I heard guttural moaning, and the director was crab crawling backwards. And I turned around to look at Alec, and when I did, I saw Miss Hutchins falling, and I ran. She ran out of the church to help and away from danger. And she called 911. Miss Mitchell said 2 people have accidentally been shot and explained that she called it an accident because she did not want the police to think there was an active or mass shooting occurring on the set. Rust script supervisor said Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was not professional and had disorganized prop cart. Yikes. The script supervisor on the set of Rust did not present the way she was used to seeing armors on film sets. I found her to be inexperienced and did not present in the way I'm used to seeing professional armors, union armors, present on a film set. The armors are very quiet, focused, and very organized. She also described Gutierrez-Reed's prop cart as messy, like the drawer in your kitchen where you put stuff. Rust script supervisor called to testify. Mamie Mitchell, the script supervisor, is testifying. She said she has quit the film industry since the incident of the film and is now working as a substitute teacher. Miss Mitchell said she had worked as a script supervisor for 42 years and had worked on 74 films and television shows. Rust Medic says she's testifying to try to secure safety changes in the film industry. Sherilyn Schaefer said she is testifying because she wants to see change in the film industry. In a tearful statement, she explained that she wanted to see more substantive safety measures introduced to the film industry to prevent tragedy like Helena Hutchins' death from happening again. She said on a typical set there would need to be 300 people on set before she could feasibly convince a production to bring another medic. Ms. Schaefer said she had 2 patients with severe wounds and had no additional resources to assist her. She said she had a son the same age as Helena's. She couldn't help but think of what happened. All I could think of was how I wasn't able to save his mother, she said, crying. The judge said she had not expected the testimony that testimony, and it had struck her, or it had struck from, or had it struck from the record. The witness was then dismissed. Had our armorers and first AD done their jobs, we wouldn't be here. A woman would not be dead. A mother would not be gone. The defense is now cross-examining Sherilyn Schaefer, the medic who worked on Rust. And the defense brought up that Ms. Schaefer has filed a lawsuit against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, among other crew members on set of Rust, alleging that that she was traumatized by what occurred on set. The defense and asked it if she was testifying would help her obtain money for the lawsuits. Ms. Schaefer said she was not there for her civil trial. She was there for Gutierrez-Reed's criminal trial. Had our armorer and first AD done their jobs, we wouldn't be here, and a woman would not be dead, a mother would not be gone. Rust medic recalls the moment of Helena Hutchins was shot. Sherilyn Schaefer, a medic who worked on Rust, struggled to hold back tears while describing the moment Helena Hutchins was shot. Folks, this might get rough, so bear with me. And let me see something here, because it says, just want to make sure to check something, folks. Okay, I got the weekly so is everybody in the chat still there? Because I want to make sure that this stream is still going on and that people are actually here to hear me. Because either my chat died or let me check YouTube. Okay, so there. All right, so the chat is working. Thank you, Darth Sathra. You actually are a big help there. So then we also have the medic worked on Rust, describes the moment. She was outside of the church when she heard the gunshot and then grabbed her bag, rushed into the church. I heard medic emergency over the radio. She said Miss Hutchins said she couldn't feel her legs, which indicated she suffered some kind of spinal injury. She then saw the blood on her back and used shears to open Miss Hutchins' jacket to see if she could locate her wound. Miss Schaefer said she called for an ambulance and a helicopter to assist and told everyone who was necessary to be in the church to leave. I mean, this is a lot of stuff here, folks. Holy crap. Rust Medic says safety meetings on set were rare. Sherilyn Schaefer, the medic who worked on the set of Rust, said meetings were rare on set, safety meetings. Previous testimony from another crew member said that on a typical production, safety meetings occurred daily, if not more. She said the meeting was called on the day that the camera crew walked off set. And that was also the day Helena Hutchins was shot on set. Rust Medic called to testify after break. The trial has resumed. And she told the prosecutor, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed did not secure weapons on set the way she was used to seeing armorers secure weapons. She said only saw Gutierrez-Reed check weapons sometimes, and that a good majority of the time actors maintained their weapons even after scenes had concluded filming. The court breaks for lunch, yada yada. So yeah, this is, or there are so many, or 21 pages of court proceeding, or of court transcripts, folks. Do you think this movie will ever come out? I am sure, or they said it will come out. They said it will come out. So, yeah, folks, the trial, I will do my best to keep you guys updated. The more I hear over the next few days, I will do normal videos. But I wanted to do this recap tonight in order to let you all know multiple different things. And if any, or as new stuff comes out, I will let you all know during this upcoming week. So Helena Hutchins, her name should never be forgotten. Just as Brendan Lee's name will never be forgotten. Unfortunately, two people whose event in common, sadly, was on set accidents, and on-set tragedy. Brandon Lee lost his life, unfortunately, due to a weapon that had a blank in it. However, the capping of the load discharged and entered his chest, killing him. Where Helena Hutchins had a live round pierce her and kill her. Yeah. Folks, if it was me, here's what I would do. If I was in control of the movie business and I was set up, and if I was in charge of setting up safety protocols for firearms on set, I would make sure that the armorer, the actors, and everybody involved with handling those firearms had mandatory practice. If they refused to, or if they fucked around, production would be cut that day. There would be real consequences and a fine given. The people who would handle the weapons and then bring them on set, they would check the weapons. I would also make sure that everybody can identify what is known as a dummy round, a blank, and a live round. These safety meetings would be mandatory. If you don't, production is halted until these meetings happen. The actors would be able to properly identify a live round. They would be able to properly identify a dummy round. They would be able to identify a blank round. And if they couldn't, each safety meeting, which would be every day, if the movie included firearms, production would be halted until they are able to do so. They would also know how to check the weapon themselves. You would have the armorer come up, hand the weapon to the actor, say, check the weapon. Can you identify what round is what? You would have people pointing their cameras multiple angles at these safety checks to ensure that these are all properly done, leaving no room for error. And if they complain that it would be cumbersome, it's like, okay, well, then there is no production. We will cancel the production here right now if you have a problem with these tests. That is how I would do this. And if anybody complained on set that these were too cumbersome of rules, you're fired. We'll find somebody who will actually take this job seriously. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed fucked up on her first job, where even Nicolas Cage yelled at her for screwing around. Yeah, she was screwing around on her first job, where she did it her first time. And this woman was on a freaking podcast or whatever saying, I want to do my own thing. I got my own cards set up for when I do my own armor company and such. She ain't going to have that future anymore. Chances are she's going to be facing 3 years in prison, depending on how this trial goes. She and Alec Baldwin are both responsible for the death of Helena Hutchins. I know I have mostly covered the adult or the Alec Baldwin stuff, folks, but I will not discount that Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is also responsible. I should have been also conducting those videos as well. And I think I will as this trial continues. But yes, that is going to be the main meat of this. Before I do go, I also want to let people know I am still typing away at the Dark Marvel story. I am on the Galactic bit, or the Galactic chapters. All the Earth chapters are done. So there's over 230 pages. If you want a link to it, I don't know why they hired her in the first place. Yeah, you are absolutely right, Nazog. So if you want a link to my Dark Marvel story, hit me up on YouTube, hit me up on Twitter or X, hit me up on Instagram if you follow me there, or Facebook if you're friends with me there. I also do appreciate feedback on the story. Let me know, is this better than what you have seen from Marvel? Or is this worse than what you have seen from Marvel? Can you imagine this stuff going through your head and whatnot? Let me know all sorts of stuff like that, folks. But also, remember the name Helena Hutchins, because that woman should be alive today. Alec Baldwin killed her. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed killed her. And whoever is ultimately responsible for that live round being in that revolver killed her. So, Lurch Slight Return. Thank you so much. If you want, hit me up on Twitter at OrangeHat2185, and I will send you a copy. Or let me see right now. For those of you who are in the chat, actually, I can put it in the chat. So 1 second. Let me just load it up, and I'll send you the copy right now so you guys can check it out. Now, folks, again, this is a fan fiction story. It is not something that I am going to send to Marvel because I do not trust Marvel with it. They would try to change it, and I guarantee you they won't approve of it because it is a very dark story. This story has graphic violence. This story has detailed violence. This story has content that they would not approve of. However, there is diversity in it. So let's see if I can share here. Not yet. I will not be using my real name in it anymore. So there we go. Now that it's saved to drive. Right now, all right, the link is copied. There's over 200 pages to this story, folks. Over 200 pages. I have pictures of the characters. I have a picture of what my character semi looks like. I had to use some AI art to actually give you an idea of what my character and his weapon looks like. Later on in the story, you will see it. You will also be slightly left guessing of who the character is until it is outright revealed later in the story. Do not skip ahead in chapters because I guarantee you, you will not understand full context if you do not read it chapter by chapter. There are reasons, or you have to read it chapter by chapter if you want the story to make sense. This is not something that is like the MCU where you can skip a couple movies or skip a couple shows and it will still make sense. No, you have to read it chapter by chapter. Otherwise, the story won't make sense to you. Here is the document, folks. So if you want to read it, there is the document. I am on Twitter at OrangeHat2185. Hit me up on there with any feedback you have, and I will very much appreciate it. Anyway, folks, thank you to Lurch Slight Return, Neozoic, Darth Zathra, and Vanya for coming in and watching the stream while I inform people. That is my main purpose on here. It is to inform people. I want people to be informed of what goes on in Hollywood. I want people to be informed of the evils that happen in Hollywood, and that there are things that need to happen in Hollywood in order for things to go back to the way they were. Well, at least quality-wise, because there are some sick things that go on in Hollywood. And while politics right now, yes, is important, and while politics is influential to society, Hollywood is also equally as influential to society. Hollywood is my wheelhouse. And while I have a lot of people on Twitter who are following me for political reasons, where I do also give my political views, like on Fridays, I do give my political views in the Orange Hat segments or uncensored segments. This is my main wheelhouse. I am not well versed in politics. However, I do have an opinion on them. But if you want to understand my wheelhouse, check out my channel, Orange Hat, and subscribe if you want to stay up to date on controversies of Hollywood, things that matter, things that you shouldn't expose, or that kids shouldn't be exposed to, and things that people should understand about the talent that is working in Hollywood and what they think of you. So yes, these are all important things. And I do appreciate everybody who takes the time out of their day to give me the time to inform them of what goes on in Hollywood. So coming up later this month is the movies Ghostbusters 4, The Frozen Empire, and Godzilla Kong, The New Empire. I will be watching those movies. I will be reviewing those movies. I will give live reviews for those movies. So I will also be doing my reviews for those movies on criticlist.com. criticless.com, where you can also, or that is a Rotten Tomatoes alternative, where Rotten Tomatoes requires you to basically be registered, and they will censor your reviews if you are not or if you're not just blindly shilling. Criticless will allow you to watch a movie, or will allow you to review a movie and give your own personal thoughts and allow others to see it without incident, without censoring. Everyone's opinions are welcome on Criticless. So, folks, no problem. Hope you had a good day, Orange Hat. Small teams using AI to make movies will replace Hollywood soon. Yeah, pretty much. I've seen some stuff on Society Reviews channel they showed last week, and that is essentially where it's going. But hey, they did it themselves. Anyway, folks, Lurch Slight Return, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully I got a new subscription out of you, and you'll check out my content later on. I do very much appreciate it. Neozoic, Darth Sathra, and whatnot. Thank you all for tuning in. You all are freaking amazing and awesome people. This has been Orange Hat, folks. Make sure you smash the like button on the way out, and always remember to stay humble. Later.